It was going to be the most humiliating moment of Eleanor's life. Her ex-husband, Ashton, would marry his new girlfriend, Olivia, right in front of her eyes. A burning sensation filled her chest as she gazed at them. It felt like Ashton had just plunged a dagger into her heart. And it hurt so much that she could barely breathe. Eleanor took a deep breath, trying to calm down a bit. But it was difficult when every time she did, she got another pang of pain in her chest. Suddenly she heard a man's voice say, "Are you all right?" Eleanor turned around and saw a handsome stranger with golden hair and kind blue eyes staring at her. He looked so worried. I'm fine," she lied, quickly wiping away a tear that had escaped before she could stop it. Before the man could say anything else, a wedding march started playing. All eyes were now on the bride who walked in arm with her father. Ashton and Olivia were finally getting married. Eleanor felt a sob catch in her throat. Why did he marry that woman? What has she done to deserve this? Eleanor slumped down onto the nearest chair and buried her face in her hands. She was still crying, but no one seemed to notice. At least not until the stranger stood up from his seat and made his way over to her. "I think we need to talk," he said, extending a hand to her. Eleanor hesitated for a moment before taking it. His touch sent shivers down her spine, but she couldn't help it. She needed someone to lean on right now. The man helped her to stand up and led her outside. "Thank you," she whispered. "You were crying." I'm sorry if that was rude of me to ask, but are you all right?" "No, I'm not all right," she admitted, tears welling up in her eyes once more. "What happened? Do you know him?" he asked, nodding towards the church where the wedding was being held. Eleanor shook her head. "That's my ex-husband." I'm his ex-wife," she replied, feeling humiliated as she said the words. "I'm sorry," the man said, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "I didn't know. I thought maybe you were just a friend of the family. I'm sorry if I overstepped by asking, but I couldn't help it. You look so sad and heartbroken." "I just wanted to make sure you were okay," she managed a weak smile. "Thank you. It's just a lot today. All these memories coming back and him moving on while I'm still stuck in the past," she said with a sigh. "Do you want to get out of here? We can go for a walk along the beach or something. I'll buy you a cup of tea or coffee." "Whatever you want," he offered. For a moment, Eleanor hesitated. This stranger was being so nice to her, but she couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude towards him. She nodded slowly and said, "Thank you. That would be nice." As they strolled along the beach, Eleanor couldn't help but steal glances at the stranger. There was just something about him that intrigued her. He was handsome, yes, but there was a kindness in his eyes that drew her in. "What's your name?" she asked, breaking the silence. He turned to her, a smile gracing his lips. Arthur Beckham," he replied. "Arthur, it's nice to meet you." She paused for a moment. "Eleanor." "My name is Eleanor Campbell," she said. They continued walking in comfortable silence for a while. Eleanor found herself opening up to Arthur, sharing with him the heartache she had kept bottled up for so long. As she spoke, she felt a weight lifting off her shoulders. It was nice to finally let someone in, to share her burden. And Arthur listened patiently, offering words of comfort and understanding. By the time the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Eleanor felt a renewed sense of hope. She had poured her heart out to this stranger, yet she sensed that she couldn't hide her identity from him any longer. "Look, Arthur," she started, but before she could reveal herself, her phone started ringing. With a sinking feeling, she pulled it out of her pocket and saw that it was Ashton. Her heart pounded in her chest as she looked back at Arthur, torn between her desire to be honest and her fear of ruining the connection they had formed. Should she tell him the truth about who she was? Or should she let him keep admiring her? As she struggled with this internal conflict, she noticed a change in Arthur's demeanor. His expression had become serious, his gaze intense. "Who is it?" he asked, his voice low. Eleanor hesitated, weighing her options. She took a deep breath and said, It's my ex-husband. Arthur's reaction was swift and sharp. His jaw clenched, his eyes hardening as he looked at her. Why is he calling you? He asked, his voice betraying his anger. Eleanor's heart raced as she met his gaze. She could see the turmoil in his eyes, the conflict between his feelings for her and his anger towards her ex-husband. It was a battlefield of emotions. She opened her mouth to respond, but before she could utter a word, Ashton's voice boomed from the other end of the line. Eleanor, where are you? I need to speak with you. It's urgent, he demanded. His words echoed across the beach, carrying with them an undeniable authority that left Eleanor shaken. She glanced at Arthur, seeking solace in his gaze, only to find a storm brewing in his eyes. It was evident that he wasn't happy with Ashton's intrusion, and she couldn't blame him. She felt the same way. With a mixture of apprehension and determination, she answered, I am here, Ashton. Tell me what you want. Her voice trembled slightly, betraying the vulnerability she felt. The conversation with Ashton was brief and to the point. He informed her that he and Olivia were leaving town unexpectedly and wanted her to take care of some matters related to their divorce proceedings. As he spoke, Eleanor's emotions were a whirlwind of anger, resentment, and a strange sense of relief. It was as if Ashton, even from a distance, was still trying to pull her into his world, a world she had worked so hard to escape. However, the one thing that caught her off guard was his final statement. Don't bother looking for me, Eleanor. You won't find me. If you need anything, contact my lawyer, he said, his voice echoing his finality. Before she could respond, he hung up the phone, leaving her with a sense of dread and a pounding heart. She stared at the phone in her hand, feeling the weight of Ashton's words settle upon her like a heavy cloak. She knew he meant every word, and a shiver ran down her spine. Ashton was gone. The finality of his words hung in the air, leaving Eleanor with a mixture of emotions. Relief that he wasn't near, anger at his controlling nature, and a profound sense of abandonment. The realization that he truly didn't care for her anymore hit her like a tidal wave. Turning to Arthur, she saw concern etched on his face, his eyes filled with empathy. In that moment, she knew she couldn't keep her true identity hidden from him any longer. Arthur, she began, her voice trembling slightly. There's something I need to tell you. The confession hung between them, heavy with unspoken truths. Arthur's gaze was unwavering, his expression a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. Eleanor took a deep breath, bracing herself for his reaction. My name isn't Eleanor Campbell, she confessed, her eyes searching his. It's actually Eleanor Ashton. I'm Ashton's ex-wife, she revealed, the words tumbling out of her mouth in a rush. A stunned silence followed her confession. The revelation hung in the air, thick and heavy. Eleanor could see the shock and disbelief etched on Arthur's face. His eyes widened, his jaw clenched as he processed the information. It was as if her identity had been a puzzle piece that had suddenly slotted into place, explaining the complexity she had seen in his eyes earlier.